What is it you want to really be known for?
Yeah, I want to be known for helping people to say, why not me?
What are some of the challenges you see that stops people from getting out there, being visible in their business when it comes to speaking?
One of the things that stops people, and it is men as well, but more women, is imposter syndrome.
What has public speaking and raising your visibility done for you as a business owner?
I've gained from it something that's quite esoteric and top level and a bit woo-woo, which is my purpose.
Welcome to this episode of the Ultimate Marketing Podcast, the only podcast that should be at the top of your podcast list when it comes to all things marketing. And I'm here with my amazing co-host, Sarah Cox.
Hi, everyone.
And the amazing Vish Babar.
Hey. I got an amazing again.
To be fair, Sarah Cox is amazing too. I just did the description beforehand.
We're all amazing.
We're all amazing. We're all amazing.
So if someone wants to be more amazing than amazing, who would be that amazing person?
Cheryl.
Me.
Quite well.
Before we introduce our guest today,
before we let the cat out of the bag.
Before we introduce our guest today, remember to give us a follow. Guess what? We're on all major podcast platforms, which is Apple, Stitcher, Spotify. There's a lot of others that I don't know the names of, but those three you definitely want to be on. And we are also on YouTube. So on YouTube, just search for the Ultimate Marketing Podcast. You will see our beautiful faces on there and all of our previous episodes with all the different guests as well as current episodes. So make sure you go and have a listen in and share with anyone that you believe needs help with their marketing.
And ring the bell. Ring the bell.
Ring the bell. Oh, yes. Ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell so you get notified every time a new episode comes out. Right. That's the housekeeping done. Now I am really excited because I'm going to be introducing a very, very, very good friend of mine. I didn't say old. I just said good. A very good friend of mine. She forced her way into my life. And then she's been trying to get away from me, but I haven't let her. Yeah. So she is a multi-award winning speaker, international speaker, been a TEDx organizer, and has helped thousands and thousands and thousands of individuals get on stages and really become visible and share their message of hope and help and all sorts of things. So she is absolutely fabulous. She is, we talk a lot about visibility on this podcast, about how visibility is key for you to have good marketing because you've got to be visible. If you aren't out there showing everybody your genius, then how will anyone know you exist? And this particular individual knows all about the one key way, in fact, a must-have way to get visible, but also what is stopping people from using this particular skill. And that is the skill of public speaking. So please welcome to the Ultimate Marketing Podcast, Cheryl Chapman.
Woo! I thought you'd frozen there, Dr.
I
Chapman.
thought she frozen. She was so still.
I was so still and waiting. Well, it's not very often that I let Dee get a word in, so I thought I'd let her milk it.
It's so true.
Mate, I was hoping you'd jump in earlier because she didn't shut up.
I know, but I was just thinking then, my God, no wonder at 25 I look like 60 because I'm knackered. I've been busy a bit. I never really noticed sometimes. Oh, have I done all that? Okay, I'll have a bit of that then. Yes, hello. Welcome.
Yeah.
What do you want to know?
Greetings, Dr. Chapman.
So tell our viewers, our listeners, tell us all a little bit about yourself, Cheryl.
Oh God, how long have you got? Let's start with the latest version. So 10 years ago, I was working for a guy that I fondly called Dracula. I was inside a shipping container, exporting goods, importing goods, and generally not liking life. I'd hit 48. I kind of started thinking those things, what the hell am I doing here? I was drinking a lot. My two best friends were Gordon and Stella, worked that one out. And life was pretty shit. And I just thought that's all there was to life. And then I went to an event to see a guy called Bob Proctor. God bless. He passed last year. And while I was waiting for Bob Proctor to come on stage, this guy that I fondly referred to as Penfold from Danger Mouse arrived on stage. Big man, small ideas. Oh, no, sorry. Small man, big ideas. Please welcome to the stage, Mr. Andy Harrington. Everyone was whooping and hollering. And quite frankly, I was thinking, what the fuck am I doing here? Because whooping and hollering obviously weren't my sort of thing. And if anyone had said to me, positive thinking, I'd have probably just whatever. And I'd done another drink. So I was stuck. Andy looked at me, just me, of course, out of the 500 people that were in the audience. Just looked at me and said, if you were to die tomorrow, who would mourn your loss? And it really triggered something in me, which I now know, is a core wound, if you want to get a little bit woo-woo. And so I ran to the back of the room, invested in his program, a few £1,000. And then when I went to the event, people were asking me about my business and asking me about branding. And I was kind of like, that's what we do to cows up north. No idea what you're on about. And then one of the organisers just said to me, so what are you doing here then? And I said, it's dead easy. I'm here to find friends for my funeral. That's why I'm here. But I had no idea that it was a public speaking course. I missed that bit. And then I thought I was okay. Have you ever had a time when you thought you were all right at something and then you weren't? And lovely
all the time.
All the time. Yeah. Lovely Andrea Hook was one of the coaches. And I remember her saying to me, lovely boots and a nice scarf, Cheryl. And I thought, she's such a lovely woman, that woman, isn't she? And then I found out later that when you first start speaking as a trainee, if you're shit, they have to find something to say good about you. And that's how bad I was. And that's where I met Dee. In fact, I met Dee before I enrolled into the big program because I was very, very important, I was oh my God, significance and an ego as big as the bloody universe. Don't you know who I am? And the answer is no. Nobody knows who you are, Cheryl. But yes, I met Dee and she sorted me out after I got a little bit stroppy about the way that I'd been trying to be sold to. So here we are. I started to like the idea of speaking because I realised that you could pretty much write the checks that you wanted to, because if you'd got a tax bill, you just put on an event, people bought some stuff. And that was the original reason, to just get away from Dracula. But actually, I now see it as a completely different, you can still make an income, of course you can, but you can help a lot of people, at the same time, rather than having to work. What I realised a lot of my friends who were like coaches and therapists were doing at the time was working one-to-one, a lot of hours, not enough hours in the day to help as many people. So I love the fact that, you can speak to a lot of people like we're doing now, at the same time and find the people who are looking for you rather than finding people to sell to, if that makes sense. What else do you need?
So what's your business now?
What do you do today? Yeah, I do have two businesses. I have Find Your Why, where I'm helping women to stop asking why me and start saying why not me. But the actual business of speaking, I teach. What happened was those women were finding their why, and then they were saying, can you do that speaking thing? Because now I know I want to have my own business. Now I know I want to help more people. Can you teach me how to speak like you do? So I was like, okay then. So I created Wise Words, and it helps people to be seen, be heard, be you. And then last year, I co-collaborated with a lady called Jane Leonard, who's an ex-England rugby player, ex-army. She's a world record holder for rowing across the Pacific, like you do when you've got nothing else to do in your life. And we created Confidently Come Speaking. So it helps people to be seen, to be heard, and to still be themselves. So their ideal clients can find them. That's me. Thank you very much.
That's
Goodbye.
You.
Cool. Quick fire round.
We'll talk to you later. So when it comes to, let's talk about this art of public speaking that, especially the four of us here, we know a lot about in terms of doing it ourselves as well as having been trained in it. But what are some of the key things that stop Because I've heard it's like the number one fear comes above death. So what are some of the challenges you see that stops people from getting out there, being visible in their business when it comes to speaking?
Yeah, well, particularly with women, and it's not exclusive though, but like I generally find with women, men will have a go at things. Vish, you'll know about this. Like you'll go because you have to, because it's historical that you're the breadwinner. I know I'm not getting into women's lib or anything like that, but there's something in your DNA. Back in the ages of cavemen time, man gets up, goes find meat, feeds family. That's kind of in your DNA. Women were fluffing, the concrete cushions up, Fred Flintstone style, looking after the kids and the dinosaurs and whatever else is going on. And so we're very good at doing a lot of things, but we tend to not be very good at just going for something when we don't know about everything. That generally is many of the women that I know. So one of the things that stops people, and it is men as well, but more women, is imposter syndrome. So I don't know enough. What will people think about me? It's traditional things like, does my bum look big in this? What if I speak too much? Obviously, women are known for speaking a lot more than men generally, but put someone on a stage and they sort of freeze. So it's like, am I going to show myself up? What will people think of me? Do I know enough? Do I want to? The big one for my community is I don't want to look like Brenda Big Boobs. Equivalent to Billy Big Bollocks. Do you know what I mean? So they don't want to look like a show off. That was Jane when she came to me. All these awards and accolades in a plastic box. Wasn't even showing them. Definitely didn't want to talk about them because she didn't want people thinking she was going to show up. And so it's the fear of judgment, really. That's the main key. What will people think? What if? And what ifs generally tend to be like negative. And so I change that around and I go, think of judgment as an opinion, because everybody's judging everybody. You're judging yourself when you get up in the morning and look in the mirror, so you have an opinion on everything. It's different from the person next to you. Your opinion today about yourself will be different from your opinion tomorrow. So just be open about the fact that it doesn't make somebody right or wrong. You're not right or wrong. They're not right or wrong. It just is. And opinions are a bit like arseholes. Everybody's got one. So
very true.
Build a bridge and get over it. Get up, stand there. If you know that what you're talking about and what you've got to share genuinely comes from a place of wanting to serve and help somebody, and it is of use to them, then share it. And if people like you, they'll like you, and if they don't, they don't. There's not really anything you can do about that. So the people who like you will be attracted to you. The people who don't will run a mile. And again, that's okay. So yeah.
Now I usually take over. So I'm just going to make sure I'm going to pass the mic over to Vish and Sarah, because I usually go right. Yeah. Next question. So passing it over.
So I've had the pleasure of being coached by you, and one of your feedbacks was nice shoes, Vish. So what were you trying to say there? I'm joking. Yeah. Look, having to, obviously, I've been exposed to your story. I've known you for years, and I absolutely love you. But for the listener, going from a corporate job, job, just over broke, having to sell your soul to somebody else and do what they were telling you to do, to then becoming a master of your own destiny, as it were, and running your own business. What was the challenges you faced, as well as having to overcome this public speaking skill and getting up in front of people and stuff like that? What were the challenges you faced around that?
Wow,
is what I want to know.
Yeah. So what happened was, not a lot of people know this, is that I was working with Dracula, and I started to work with Mr. Harrington, learning at the Public Speakers University and then the Academy. But what was happening was those events were on a weekend, as you know. So I was using all my holidays up to go to these events. Husband wasn't very happy. What do you mean we're not going on holiday this year? And so I asked Dracula if I could work part-time. And in my mind, it was, I'll go 4 days a week. I'll get 1 week, and I'll go and do that. But Dracula said, if you can do this job in part-time, then you can do it in 2.5 days. And I was screwed. Because, you see, when you're living a life that you don't like, you start distracting, don't you? So, yes, I had Gordon and Stella that were quite, substantial amount of money that I was spending. And I bought stuff to try and make myself feel happy. So clothes, shoes, got more shoes than Imelda Markov. Do you know what I mean? Holidays, we spent a lot of money on holidays, things, but, honestly, I had a lot of stuff trying to fill that void that I didn't know how to fill. So the big thing for me was I was skint. Like, I had to go on a debt management plan to leave my job to go and study, if you like, with Mr. H. Now, the great news was that at that stage, he decided that he was going to do a bit of a Jesus impression, and he created 12 disciples called the ACE team. And this is, of course, where Dee and I became very good friends, and because we didn't really like each other at that stage. That's a different podcast. And so we started traveling around the world. We were training other people, because Andy gave me loads of clients, and I'm very, very, very grateful for that. Like, I literally got thrown in the deep end. And then I couldn't do it anymore. There was not enough hours in the day. So Dee and I used to train some other people to do that, i.e. 50 people around the world. So we built somebody else's business into a multi-million-pound business while still thinking, potentially, I'll speak for myself, Dee can speak for herself, that I wasn't good enough to do that on my own. Because my dad, my experience with someone having an entrepreneur business was my dad had a window cleaning business. He fell off his ladder in the first week, broke both his legs, and we nearly lost the house. And I remember my mum going, bloody stupid idea, we should have just stayed working at Rowntree's, do you know what I mean, on the polo line. And so, that was not something that was even in my kind of, it wasn't in my peripheral vision, wasn't even in my focus.
Yeah.
So I'd only ever known to work for somebody else. That's how I'd been brought up. And then 2 years ago, what happened was, my good friend Dawn, who I'd met her, through the speaking agency, great woman. She'd been on Secret Millionaire twice, given more money away to charity than anyone I know. Very woo-woo, but really freaking adorable. And we'd formed this friendship, and she wanted to write a book, and she wanted to get out there with her own products and services because she'd become a millionaire by working in her father's job, a factory. They were the first non-chemical concrete company. And she sold that business after putting a bit of woo-woo magic on it for an undisclosed figure, which if you look on Google was 35 million. And this feng shui that she talked about, I was like, I'll have a bit of that woo-woo. If that's what that means, I'll have a bit of that, you see. So we'd become very good friends. She'd feng shuied all the houses. And a couple of Christmases ago, I went to see her. And I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you know that the right thing to say, or not the right thing, but the automatic thing to say is, how are you? But I was looking at her and she was in a wheelchair and she'd lost half her weight since I'd seen her. And that didn't feel appropriate. So I was like, what's going on? And she said, they've given me 6 weeks to live. Now, if you've ever been with anybody who's been given news like that, and I know that you guys know this, we're of an age where it happens a lot. Do you know what I mean? It just slapped me in the face because the next line was, she said, I wish I'd written that book. And I was like, well, I can still help you do it. We'll do it. We'll do this book before you die. You know what I mean? What happened was she was so ill, she couldn't go to America and get the help that she felt she needed. So all this idea that, I'm going to do this later, I'll do it later, I'll put it on when I've got a bit more money in the bank, I'll do it. When I learn another course, I'll do this, was gone. Does that make sense? And I was like, I need to get to these people like Dawn, who not necessarily are millionaires, but they've got ideas and concepts and they want to do things, because this whole death thing, and see how it comes back again around to the death thing, is I'm not afraid of public speaking. I'm afraid of dying. So I'm quite happy to do the eulogy at someone else's funeral, but I don't want to be at someone else's funeral with regret. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And before I hand over to Sarah, that's a really important point. So you've now segued over here, and it's great. What has public speaking and raising your visibility done for you as a business owner? From there to where you are now, what has it done for you? The whole TEDx thing, and I know we've spoken about it, touched on it. What have you gained from it? I've gained from it
something that's quite esoteric and top level and a bit woo-woo, which is my purpose. I mean, this is what I'm here to be on the planet for, because I know now about no, it's not about hiding away. It's not about shying away. It's not about worrying whether or not my bum looks big and that my tits are big, whether or not I swear, whether or not I'm northern, all the things that I can make an excuse of. I'm too fucking old. Do you know what I mean? Like, I am literally on a fucking mission to help people to stop asking why me and start saying why not, because we don't know if this is the only life we get. Do you know what I mean? It's about getting out there. And so the visibility for me is, I want to find the people who are ready to join me in that mission. And that's the best way of doing it. In my own unique, weirdo way, if people are quite happy to join the weirdo, then come on. I've no idea where we're going, but we'll enjoy the journey. Do you know what I mean? Because life is too short. So the visibility is now all about, and I'm really ramping it up this year. I've just gone on YouTube myself. I'm not gone on in the typical, this is how one does presentation skills. Fuck that shit. Someone else can do that. I'll do it my way. I'm dressing up. I've got about 17 different outfits in 5 videos. It was good fun. Do you know what I mean? And a few hundred people have watched it so far in the first month. But I want to get out to people and say, look, you can do it, and you don't have to be like all Polly perfect or Peter perfect. You can just do it, be you, and people will be naturally, like they'll want to hang around with you. And so you've got to be visible, because if you can't be seen, you're the world's biggest secret. We know this. It's nothing new.
Oh my God, definitely go and check out the YouTube. The YouTube channel is Confident. Is it Confident Become Speaking?
Yeah.
Go and check that out. We'll put it in the show notes as well.
Yeah, 100%. Hand over to you, Sarah.
Thank you. So one of my questions, it kind of stems on from what Vish was saying, was like, you mentioned your businesses find your why. So my question was going to be like, how did you find your why?
Yeah. It's cool. I mean, the Find Your Why led to the Confidently Come Speaking. So Find Your Why is now a part of Confidently Come Speaking. But it's a really good question, because I found it in a few ways, but the main way for me was through a process that we call genetic blueprinting. Oh. And what happens there is that we look at which type of person you are. There are 5 types of people in the world. So one, if we did an analogy of like, there's a plot of land, first person walks up and says, we're building a house. And they're what we call an initiator. They have the ideas. They're here to inform people. Second person is the architect in this analogy, and they go, brilliant, great idea. Let's get some people. Let's get a plan together. Then there's a specialist, specializing in furnishing or wooden interiors, decorating. Then there's the builder, put the bricks together, build something, and then finally the neighbor who says, what a great house, but around here you want to put like a fence up. And I found out via this process that I am actually an architect. And I didn't, when you don't know what you don't know. So I thought everybody could see gaps like I do. I thought everybody could see, connections. I didn't realize the reason why I'm a brilliant therapist is because of this type of person that I am. I see the links all over. I see the gaps. We saw the gaps in Andy's business, what to make it better. I'd done the same for every single man, interestingly enough, that I'd ever worked for, that I'd made into multimillionaires, even ex-boyfriends. I knew how to make their lives better, and then they'd fuck off. I had this skill, but I didn't know what it was all about. And so this was about knowing that I was here to guide others, that I could see the gaps, help them get through that gap, knowing that I would do it in a very individual way, and embracing who I really am. Because for so long, I'd just tried to fit in with everybody else, not stand out, not put your head above the parapet, not be seen, interestingly enough, which is exactly what you need to do when you're in business. Because when you work in a corporate, it's best to keep your head down, right? Because if you do something wrong, they'll probably, that's it. You're gone and you'll be blamed. So I learned to just be me, and that was how I found my purpose. So my purpose is to guide others and to see the gaps. But I have to wait for the invitation. So you have to come towards me, because if you don't come towards me, you're not ready for me, if that makes sense. Because I'm not subtle.
So that's how you attract people. You wait for the ones who are ready for you.
Yeah, so I'll invite them. So I can invite the invitation. So I can say, if you want to come and work with me, then connect, book a call, come on a course, come to this one-day event, whatever it is that I'm doing at the time. I'm invited. The minute that you arrive at one of my venues, all bets are off and I'm in. It's kind of like, I'm just going to say how it is, because that's why you're there. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in that room. Yes.
Amazing. And obviously you mentioned like you're on a mission now. Like, what is it you want to really be known for?
Yeah, I want to be known for helping people to say, why not me? I mean, and already, you know, like you never really know. I mean, I put a massive figure on this of 10 million. Because actually, a friend that we all know, said, make it bigger, make this plan bigger. And when she said that, I was like, I thought 1 million would be all right. But actually, the figure doesn't matter because I've got no way of calibrating this, by the way. So I just go every morning, right, 10 million women, 10 million people. I mean, I do train men as well. It's just that men tend to want to work one-to-one. So 10 million people that I want to help. How many today? No idea. I think it's still 10 million. Let's get going. So every day, it's not like I've got a little wall chart, marking people. Oh, I definitely helped 10 people today. It's just so big that it's bigger than me. It's not about me as an individual in this meat suit, having this lifetime. It's like, what's the impact? How's it going to help people moving forward? Because we are coming to a place now. I sound like a bloody politician, sorry. I just realised, like this world that we live in right now is full of people trying to fucking just control us. Keep us in our houses, tell us there's these diseases and whatever. We've always had diseases. This stuff about, nobody's got any money because the bills have gone up. If you are my age, you can remember going home from school and sitting round candle lights. Wars. There's always been wars. Our great-grandfathers fought in World War I, World War II. Like, there's nothing new here, guys. So stop letting these things stop you from doing what you really need to do, which is like just live your life and be happy. That's pretty much the deal. That's everybody's why, to be happy. So what's your happy? That's what I normally say.
So when it comes to just going back to the, like especially with, like you said, the finding your why, the purpose, etc. When it comes to public speaking, like how did you, like what were some of the things that stopped you from going out there speaking? And then when you started to realize the power of this particular skill, what were some of the earlier mistakes that you made?
Oh, God. Well, you know these already. But
that's isn't it?
Bit of a leading question, isn't it, Dee?
Let's share a few. Well, when one first went on stage, one thought that one had to speak like this because one was very aware that a Yorkshire accent would probably sound thick. Where the hell I even got that
from? Have you got any recordings of her doing this? I'd love to hear her do this. That would be so hilarious.
Oh, that it's on
Speak
YouTube.
Posh.
It's on YouTube.
Is it? Oh, you got to say, you got to send me
a
recording of that, mate.
There's one recording on YouTube where I come on. It's quite funny actually because the sound guy at the back was playing "I'm Sexy and I Know It." That was the music he was playing for me to come on stage. Yeah. I'm just like, oh, really? But as he's playing this music, this old guy walks past on the video, and it just looks like this guy's about to walk on stage to be on sexy. And I get on stage and I go, "How many of you here?" And it's all very thespian and it's all very over dramatic because I thought that's what we were supposed to do because there was another lady, Ruth Driscoll, who's amazing and incredible speaker, but her way isn't my way. That makes sense. But I kind of thought she was a good speaker, so I'll copy her. You think you can do it yourself, but the reality is you can't. You don't even know how to be yourself on stage because this fear kicks in of like, what on earth's going on? So so Dee and the guys used to stand at the back of the room going like that when one slipped into this mid-tone safe zone. And I had to say, in my head, I had to go buy gum. And then once I went gum, I could speak like I do now, which is just normal. I didn't even know I was doing it. I mean, that was the funny thing. What else has happened? I nearly fell off the stage because I'd pinpointed where someone was going to be. So I knew where the end of the stage was, but I didn't have to look at my feet or the stage. And they freaking moved in the break. So I carried on walking further. I've had dry mouth. I used to blame coffee. For the first 6 to 9 months when we were given opportunities to stand on stage, which really means when I forced Andy Harrington to let me go on stage, bribed him with having time with his kids, I would have chewing gum because my mouth was so dry. I now know because I wasn't, in peripheral vision. I wasn't being myself. My breathing was wrong. I was trying to be somebody that, that I wasn't. Same as not being yourself. Fun things. What else have I done? Yeah. Well,
have you ever fallen on stage?
Oh, no, that's Dee. That's Dee.
No, that's mine. That's mine.
That's Dee, isn't it? Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, that's my area of expertise. Thanks.
Yeah. What else have I done?
I've got the prize on that.
Yeah. Dee just likes to just
I think I know.
Yeah, loads of things like that. TEDx was classic when it comes to speaking, because I'd heard about this TEDx and supposedly this was a bucket list that everybody wanted to do. And so I thought, I'll do that. But, see, I like to do things quick. I'm getting old. We haven't got time to fuck about. Do you know what I mean? So I thought, rather than going through all these, things that you have to go through, getting judged and stuff like that, I'll just put a TEDx event on myself. And it was pretty easy. I applied. I got the license to do one day, and in fact, it keeps coming up on memories. So it was around this time in December, wasn't it?
December.
Yeah. So I've got all this going on, and then I realised because I'm the actual organizer, I can't speak. Okay. So that's when I had to, Sarah, go to that purpose of being a guide for others. Oh, that was tough. And then actually on the day when all 22, of course, Dee was one of our lovely TED speakers. On the day when I listened to them all, I imagine this is what it must be to be for a parent. Do you know what I mean? Because I kind of felt really proud of them, for doing it. And then I felt really grateful to be able to create a space. And that's what then led on to me putting other women and other men on stage. Do you know what I mean? Because there is nothing better than being on stage and knowing that you've made an impact. I mean, there's nothing worse than completely ballsing it up, but there's nothing better. I'm sure, you know that feeling when you've just done something and you know that somebody out there has been helped and served by you. So, loads of mistakes that then kind of turn into the right one. I mean, South Africa was another classic, wasn't it? I go on stage, I practice this stuff word for word, for it takes 1 hour to learn one bit of content by heart. I don't recommend it. I went on stage. There was a few women giggling in the audience. I immediately thought they were giggling at me. It put me off. I started clicking through, reading the slides. I should have been on stage for an hour. 10 minutes later, I'm inviting, the host back onto the stage. But I knew in that moment that this is what I wanted, because it meant so much for me to have messed up. And I was like, right, I know I need to put in the work. I need to put in the hours. And I don't know what the figure is, but I think for mastery, it's something like, I don't know if it's 100 years or 100 hours or something. It's a lot. 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours.
10,000 hours, I think, for mastering something.
Yeah. So I'm still practicing, but, we get there, don't we? Yeah.
So when it comes to the skill of speaking then, Cheryl, obviously this is something so important for people when it comes to getting themselves out there. Why is public speaking a skill that every entrepreneur, marketer, someone who's, trying to get a message or a product or a service out there, for what purpose, in your opinion, should they overcome their sort of lack of confidence around public speaking?
Yeah, great question. I believe that we build relationships, even in this day and age, face to face, easier. I mean, I know you can go on dating apps, back in the day when you used to go down the pub and, you'd chat somebody up, there's still something really special about being able to connect with somebody. And I know that, we're on an online platform now. You still need the skill and you're still being seen, even though it's not in real. I get that. But, you can have a lot of keyboard warriors, text and reading, and you know what it's like. You've only got to receive a text from somebody and you read it in the way that you think that they've sent it, and that can be really misunderstood. So if someone can see you, they can hear you, they get to know who you are, they can make a decision on who you are. You don't have to pretend to be anybody else. I think gone are the days of this, oh, look at me, I'm so, a multi-trillionaire and I've got 14 helicopters and shiny shoes or whatever it is, those days are gone. We're looking for real. So if you want to be real, then we speak every day. It's a skill that we use every day. It's how we connect. It's how we go through life. It's how we're communicating with partners, professional, personal, on whatever level. So we were given a voice, that's what sets us apart from mammals. So for me, it's just the only way to be able to really connect with somebody. That's my take on it.
And reach a lot of people quickly. Because, if you're speaking on stage, you've got an audience in front of you, haven't you?
Yeah.
So you're speaking to lots of people all in one go rather than one-to-one. So you can impact a lot of lives.
Yeah, in terms of business, I do love a live show, apart from a dead one. And there's something magical about it. The first show that I did after COVID was with Steve Bartlett and Marie Follier. And it's quite interesting because Marie Follier was somebody that I was told that I needed to model myself on back in the day because I'd got dark hair and I was a bit hefty, and I was told I needed to lose weight and look a bit like Marie Follier. Now, if anyone's ever met Marie Follier, she's about this big in real life. She's like Polly Pocket. There's no way that an old bird like me from Barnsley was going to ever look like fucking Marie Follier without some major scientific breakthrough. Do you know what I mean? But she was on stage just before me. And the one thing I would say, it's a very good way of connecting and positioning yourself. And it can, and without the training, I'm sorry to say, it can also be a way to end your career because, there was a lot of speakers at that particular event where, there were average speakers, good speakers, really shouldn't have been on stage speakers, not yet, even though their product and service was great. But, it is a skill that needs to be learnt. But yeah, you're right. I made an impact in that room that I'd forgotten. I'd forgotten how much impact, I could make in a room. And that was a room with not really my ideal audience, like 20-odd-year-old marketeers were in that room. But, they followed me around the hotel afterwards. That's why we started to do Confidently Come Speaking, because again, it was the women saying, can you, oh my God, you're a great speaker. Can I learn to speak like you? And I'd been talking about Find Your Why on the stage. So they kind of told me what it was that they wanted. But yeah, impacting a lot more people. So I do group trainings to begin with. I'm speaking to a group. I can get to see more people in one room at the same time. Yes, I can do it on Zoom, and other platforms are available, of course. Yes, I'm doing it on YouTube. I just like a room. That's just my preference. But yeah, definitely you can speak one-to-many in such a way that is great for both you and your potential clients, I think.
And for somebody wanting to, sort of get out of that comfort zone and actually get out there, because, as we mentioned earlier, it is a skill, whether you are virtual or whether you're, live on stage, it's a skill that you will need. So for somebody who's wanting to get out there and actually get out of that comfort zone, what's the first thing that you would say to them?
The first thing is, what are you going to talk about? What are you going to talk about? Are you passionate about it? Do you have some knowledge, more knowledge? Would you be the expert in a room of 12 people? Don't be comparing yourself like with someone like Tony Robbins if you're in personal development. Do you know more than the average person? Would somebody, buy, from you? I know a lot of people want to be motivational speakers, and that's great. There is a space for that, but you're still going to have to sell yourself, So it's got to be, what do people? Have you got something that somebody wants really, and are you passionate about it? Because there are some times, when, it gets busy, it gets tiring, you're using your energy, so you got to really love it because you got to be motivated by it, and then you need a structure. You need a structure, and I don't mean you need to learn every word by word, but you just need a structure to follow. So that that you can kind of, I give my clients a box, if you like, and they can bounce around in that box and then they know to go to the next box. And you need to speak. Like, you cannot do this practicing in your head. That's what I used to think I sounded great. And then I'd open my mouth and it'd all be wrong. It just wouldn't sound the same. One of the most ludicrous bits of information or ideas that I had recently was a lady who was on one of our courses. And she said, how do I get better at speaking? I said, you have to practice and practice. You have to get some feedback from someone who knows what they're doing, because otherwise you might be practicing the shit golf swing, let's be honest. And she said, I heard that it's really good if you go and stand on a comedy stage. I was like, I can't think of anything worse. I said, I'm pretty good at speaking And I know people think I'm funny, but I would never put myself into the lion's cage of a comedy audience to try and get confidence in speaking. I said, I'm sorry, I said, but whoever said that is totally disillusioned. I said, in my humble opinion, of course. Yeah. So
the opposite almost, wouldn't it? You're not confident at speaking, and then you put yourself into that element.
Yeah.
And suddenly have tomatoes thrown at you.
Who would say that?
Might be scarred, right?
Yeah, exactly. You would
never want to do it again.
There's no way. I mean that real deep-seated fear of judgment, and people throwing things at you. In one of my videos, I do have something thrown in my face. I won't say anything more. But that fear of being physically attacked, like in a comedy club, it's almost like all gloves are off, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like all bets are off, and no way. So yes. Practice in front of a friendly audience, but not a friendly audience having friends and family who just go, oh, that was lovely. Because confidence comes from having a proven strategy with the right people and then actually proceeding and getting into action. It's just like everything else, riding a bike, learning to drive, whatever. There's pain around it. But when you know that at the end of it, it's going to give you freedom and you're going to be able to speak to more people at the same time, get your message out there, change people's lives, I had a lady say to me the other day, if it wasn't, I'd picked her up actually. We were on our way to an event and she said, do you know if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here? And I said, I'm sure you would be. I said, you could have probably got the train or an Uber. And sorry, I'm not laughing at her. I think because that's what I thought she was on about. And then she said, no, Cheryl, I wouldn't actually be here. And like my comedy bit comes in and then I get all a bit serious and I'm like, right, okay. Are you telling me that you wouldn't be on this planet? And she's like, yes. I said, because I don't want to start saying something based on what I think you've said. She said, no. She said, I would have literally checked out if I hadn't have met you. And then I go, do you know what? I don't care what people think because it's those kind of people that I want to help and support. And you never know whose lives you're touching because you're speaking to so many people in so many different platforms that, if that helps somebody along the way, then why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you do it?
And you're saying a ripple effect,
isn't it? Sorry, dear. I was going to say that's the biggest impact you can possibly make. You can't really make a bigger impact than that, can you? And somebody saying you've helped me still be here.
Yeah. And it's little things, I had something delivered yesterday, which involved cake, which is particularly favourites of mine, because I stopped drinking 8 years ago. So tea and cake now. And I've no idea who sent it. I had to put it on Instagram and say, from a mystery admirer, thank you so much, because it's got no name on it. So then I go through, who would have sent me that? Is it somebody who's from that place because it's this type of product? And I've no idea. And I feel really humbled because I suppose in some respects, because I've helped so many people, I don't know who it is. Whereas if I'd only helped a small amount of people, I'd probably going to be, it's Tracy, isn't it? Because obviously I've only helped her this week or this year. And so for me, that reality yesterday was I was like, oh my gosh, I've no idea who this is. It could be a lot of people. And then I go, do you know what? I feel really grateful that I've been able to, with the art of public speaking, stand up, speak out, help so many people that I don't know who this is of. So it was really humbling and really lovely at the same time. Yeah. So if you're sending me gifts.
And it also has that ripple effect. For your name, right?
You do.
It also has that ripple effect. Yeah, it also has that ripple effect. Oh, yeah. I mean, you're going to laugh at this. So I text, it was Cheryl's birthday on the 29th of November. I text her and I said, I'll call you later to wish her happy birthday. And then I think on the 10th of December or something like that, she sent me a message saying, I'm still waiting for your call.
Yeah. Was it this year you were wishing me happy birthday or next?
Exactly. But there is that ripple effect as well, isn't there? Because like you said, if you touch one person's life, they go home, say something to their children, touch their children's life, then that child or that teenager or individual then goes and says something in their workspace and changes somebody else's life just by saying something so you have that whole connected ripple effect. And hence why you were saying, when you talk about 10 million, you might be already halfway there because of this one-to-many, but also ripple effect that your learnings and wisdom can then pass on over so many people.
Self-propagating, isn't it?
Yeah. And what's really lovely is I'll hear somebody speak, and I never ever thought this would ever happen, but I'll hear someone say something, and I'll go, I say that. I say that. I mean, I'm not saying it as in like, I say that, how dare they use my line? Like someone said to me, do you mind if I borrow that story? I said, have it. I said, probably won't mind in the first place. Like just like share it. And sometimes, you'll hear some stories and you'll go, I've heard those quite a few times. Do you know what I mean? But the reality of it's that domino effect. I like that because, it just takes one domino and look how much, you can go like the ripple effect, how many people can you touch and really, I love it.
Yeah. It's like that video of the small domino. Have you seen the video? The small domino sets off a slightly bigger domino, sets off a slightly bigger domino. By the end of it, it's a domino the size of a man, and this small domino that topples over this massive domino. And that's exactly what it is, right? That's the ripple effect explained down to a T. Like, you may not see the impact of it today, tomorrow, the next year, the year after, but in 5 years' time, how many people would you have, impacted?
Yeah.
And something funnily enough actually happened the other day. I was dropping the kids to school, quite similar, and somebody goes, "Oh, Vish," and I was like, "Yeah, who are you?" So, "Oh, I'm so and so's friend," and I was like, racking my brain to. I know the person he was talking about, but I probably met this guy once, like in a fleeting moment. Probably talked about cars for like 30 minutes, and that was it. That was over 20 years ago, but he still remembered me. He's like, "Yeah, like been watching your progress and seeing what you guys are doing. Like, it's really good." And I was like, "Wow." And my kids are like, "Dad, who was that?" And I was like, "I don't know, but I think I met him a little while ago." But he remembered me. 20 years later. Like, I don't look the same. Obviously, boat race is the same, but apart from that, but it's really humbling to see that. I was like, I must have said something for that person to react in that way, to then remember me 20 years later, and something just triggering in, and he goes, "Oh, is that you?" So yeah, man, it's really humbling. And obviously, having worked with you and having got, being in a very blessed position to have got feedback from you and from Dee, in terms of public speaking, of becoming an ace, and so on and so forth. Like, I see it, like your dedication to it is fucking amazing, man, and I love you for it as well.
In fact, that's happened to you, Cheryl, hasn't it? Whereby you've gone, was it in Italy or somewhere where somebody stopped you?
Awesome.
I was in Sorrento. It was my goddaughter's wedding. And me and Mr. C were wandering around Sorrento. He's trying to find an interesting route back. In other words, don't want to ask anybody. And I said, let's just ask this woman over here. And I said, excuse me, love. And she went, oh my God, Cheryl Chapman. And I was like, she's a relative, clearly. Like, she's at a wedding. Is it a second cousin removed? And I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, I don't know many cousins with an accent though, and I couldn't put her accent together. And I said, yes, it is. I said, I'm really sorry. I said, me and Dee, when we can't remember anyone's name, we'll go, I'm really sorry, love. I can't. Hello, lovely. I can't remember who you are. She said, I was in Slovenia, and you were on stage in Slovenia. And you said, and I asked you a question. I asked you, how can I find my why? And she said, you said to me, I asked you, what do you like doing? She said, so I said, I like people and I like travel. She said, and then you thought for like about a minute. And then you said, well, why don't you travel with people? Which is not exactly life-shattering, is it? Or life-breaking. And so she said, well, guess what? She said, here I am with some American people and I'm loving my life. And she ended up coming to the wedding reception that night.
Oh, brilliant.
I was just become like a tour operator.
Yeah, she's like a tour operator taking American people around the world. So, follow it. She goes, I found my why. I was like, yay! I was like...
The randomest places to meet.
That's so amazing, isn't it? Such a small world.
Well, before we do the quick fire round, a couple of things. One is, if you were going to give your top 3 skills when it comes to utilizing public speaking and getting on board with it, what would they be?
Utilizing as in what to do rather than where to be with it.
Yeah. What to do or how to do in terms of getting more visible, getting yourself out there, etc.
Yeah. Well, for me at the minute, I mean, I think YouTube is the key. And the reason why I say that in one respect, is in terms of videos, because, if you're putting videos up on Facebook, etc., they just get lost, don't they? They go down. Whereas I think for longevity, put it on YouTube. I mean, I've got videos on there, embarrassing videos, from me speaking like one thespian woman, so it's still on there, isn't it? They're still getting views. So that's my recent one, if you like. I think it depends where your audience is. Obviously, if it's corporate, then, you've got to go to LinkedIn. Oh, I've got to share this though. Sorry. So it is about being visible. And I got an email the other day, right? And it said, "This is Anna." I won't say anything else, from South Yorkshire Police, right? I absolutely shit myself because I was thinking, what have I done? And I was thinking, I'm sure I haven't done anything wrong. I've got another speeding fine, right? And then I went on to read, and it said, "We'd really love to invite you to come and speak on International Women's Day. Can you give me a ring?" So I phoned her up and I said to her, I absolutely did shit myself when I got this. I thought I'd done something wrong. But that was because of a YouTube video. Do you know what I mean? She said, "Oh, I've been laughing at your YouTube video."
Right.
I went, all right, okay. Good to see you. Please, I'm just joking, Anna.
Yeah.
So that's great. So I would have thought that wouldn't have been for corporate, but remember, you're dealing with people. LinkedIn, if I'm going to do a corporate gig, Jane does a lot of corporate gigs. So the thing is, it's about getting yourself out there in whatever shape or form that you can do. So, we've got a book, Be Seen, Be Heard, Be You. We put on an event. We're going to be, we're on Instagram if you want to follow us. We've only just started on there, only about 600 followers at the minute, but, it's going to grow. It's about where is your client hanging out. So just make sure that you are seen there. And then really, wherever you can. If you get an opportunity to be on a podcast, say yes. Just say yes to everything to begin with. And the skill will just get better and better and better because you get to just know, just know who you are. I remember the first time I was on an interview with Find Your Why, I had the book with me. I couldn't remember what I'd written. And I had to keep looking at the book. But I still knew more than somebody else. Does that make sense? And the more I talked about it, the more, now I can talk about it, as you can tell, for too long.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, right. Moving on. It's been such good, even though I know you, obviously, because you're like my best mate, it's like there's still more stuff that you get to learn about somebody when you do these things. Mm-hmm. Right, let's do a quick fire round. So who wants to kick off?
I'll go first.
Go on then, Sarah.
Favourite animal?
Favourite animal? Dog. Particularly dachshunds at the minute.
What type of dog?
Yeah, well, I've got two dachshunds staying with me at the minute. I thought they were a bit weird looking, to be honest. But they are fabulous characters. Fabulous characters.
Vish?
I've drawn a blank. I like it. I'm so close that I know you. I love you and respect you. I just what kind of question could I ask you?
For the audience, remember, for the audience.
Yeah, for the audience. That's what I'm trying to. I'm trying to put that hat on. Okay, so coming on before Andy Harrington on stage or after Andy Harrington on stage?
After.
Why?
Why? Yeah, that's can't use that as a question, D.
One and a half around.
Because people will notice the difference more. I can lift a room. I'm only joking.
Excellent, brilliant. Okay, so cake or chocolate?
Chocolate cake.
Chocolate.
Well played. Well played.
Sarah, back to you.
Following on from that, cake or tea? Because you said you like both.
Oh, tea. Tea, hands down.
Cup of
14
tea.
cups a day.
All right, that it's a double-barreled question. First is Yorkshire tea bags or PG tips?
Yorkshire tea.
Oh God!
Are you
do their own Yorkshire teas?
Are you a biscuit biter or a biscuit dunker?
Biscuit dunker, as long as it's hobnobs.
Yeah, mate.
As long as it's
Much about hobnobs, but dunkers. Yeah, mate. Yeah. Okay. And over to you, D.
And who is your biggest inspiration?
Apart from me.
Apart from me.
biggest inspiration. Oh, that's an interesting question, isn't it? It kind of changes sometimes, doesn't it? Biggest inspiration. Biggest inspiration. Oh, gosh. Do you know, it's my mum, even though she annoys the shit out of me, and I do love her dearly. I mean, her classic line is, "I don't really know." I said, she sounds like bloody Mavis from Coronation Street. But everything that she did for me and for my sister, because there's a big age gap. My mum.
Oh, bless.
Lovely.
Interestingly, like, you know, a lot of our guest experts who come on the show, they often have like a parent or a sibling as their inspiration. So interesting. Yeah. And where do people find you? How can they get in touch with you if they are looking to upskill in public speaking, get rid of their nerves, be more confident? What's the best way to get hold of you?
They can get hold of me on YouTube, of course. Confidently Come Speaking, Instagram, Confidently Come Speaking, or my website, which is Cheryl- or takeaway, Chapman.com. Cheryl-Chapman.com.
Awesome. And we'll put all of those notes and handles in the show notes. So thank you, Cheryl Chapman, for once again bringing your Yorkshire self over to us and sharing your wisdom, knowledge, and know-how as always. And again, we say this to all the guests, but it's so true. Even for something like public speaking, I think there's just so much more that can be said and spoken about when it comes to public speaking. So I'm sure we will have you again in the years to come when for this podcast.
Can I just say one thing? I am actually Lancastrian, just to put the record. But I was brought up in Yorkshire, so hence the Yorkshire accent.
Oh, there you go.
It's just my relatives would just disown me.
Up north is what I meant. Up north. Up north is what I meant.
Past Luton, that's all we know. You're past Luton.
It's all right.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I can go past Birmingham. I'm all right.
Luton's as far north as we get over here.
Once again, thank you to those of you who are listening. Remember to give us a follow. The Ultimate Marketing Podcast. Just put that in the search. You'll find us on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube. Go ring the bell. Go follow us. Go subscribe. Make some comments. Also, get in contact with either myself, Sarah, or Vish. If there's any particular guests that you would like to have on this podcast, and we'll do our ample best to get them on.
Or you'd like to be featured yourself.
Oh,
maybe you've got a message to send out there, right?
Yeah.
You've got a take on something, or like something's happened. You run your own business. You use marketing. You've tried something. It's worked really well for you. Let us know.
Yeah, or you're a marketeer and you are at the top of your game when it comes to a marketing strategy that not many people know about. So lots of different things. So until the next time, we bid you farewell. Bye.
And you?